afternoon, good evening, everyone. How are you today? Woo, this is Sister Audrey. I made it back. I wasn't gone too long, I hope. Hopefully I know you all missed me. I missed you all too for being able to come on here. I'm gonna keep you all very short today. I always say that and then get that extra boost of inspiration and go almost to that hour. But I promise you, it will definitely be a shorted edition today. But before we get started, we always like to start with Brother Mickey giving his disclaimer for 810. So we're gonna let you do that, Brother Mickey.
I would have views of Sis Archie Muhammad are not those of 810 News Media Group. The floor is yours.
I love it when he do it. I just love it. He can't nobody do it better than what Withers like to say, and we all agree with her. The greatest producer in the world, Mickey Jordan,
Thank
also
you.
known as El Jefe, also known as
Spacely Sprocket.
Basically Sprocket. You got new names this last couple of weeks.
I
Since the
was
last
so
time I've been on here, I've been loving it. I've been like, oh my God, not Spacely Sprocket. But if
yeah.
anybody don't know that, that's the Jetsons. We love that. They futuristic. They got everything in the future, and they know what was going to be happening in the future. So Spacey Sprockets was definitely somebody was futuristic. So we know that's what Mickey liked to do is take us there. So we had a lot of things that go on since the last time I've been on here. Um, Savior's Day, had a
Yes,
beautiful
ma'am.
time in Detroit, learned a lot, did a lot of walking, did a lot of things down there. Got a chance to hear the message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on that Sunday, February the 25th. If you all have not gotten a chance to see it, tune in to noi.org, listen to him. I don't want to go into details. I'm strict on instructions. There's a lot of things that was said there. I don't want to mess up what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had to tell us. He talked about the war over in the Middle East. He talked to us a lot about our responsibilities and the things that we have to do to make ourselves better. So I want you all to go back once again, noi.org. Tune into the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and listen to his divine intervention and instructions that he gave to us. Then there's a couple of other messages that you should probably go back and view if you get a chance. One was last year, Savior's Day, when he said the war of Armageddon has begun, not it is going to begin. He told us last year was already in place. He did a lecture from his beautiful home from the garden in July the 4th of 2020 when COVID first started. He gave a lot of instructions and things in that it was called the criterion. And we learned that the criterion was talked about in the Holy Quran, in the chapter that's called El Furqan. You want to go in there and look at that. Look at that video. He gives a lot of divine instructions, and you'll see that those things that he said then in 2020, almost 4 years later, we've seen those things come to pass. And he told us what was going to happen, especially the forcing of the vaccinations. This is not a pro nor a con to it, but he actually told you what was going to happen from our government, and we're living it out. What he told us was going to happen. Now today, still talking about things, I would be remiss if I do not mention my brother, brother Eric Mays, who returned to God on February the 24th. It was kind of devastating. I won't say kind of devastating. It was devastating. It definitely have me thinking about some things I hope to bring to you later on. We talked about, planning, a will, estate, things that happen for you if you're sick and you need people to make decisions about you. You have ability to make those decisions ahead of time. A lot of people have been talking, it's been on the TV, what you should include into a will or a trust. I'm trying to get somebody, I got a couple of people I want to go in more greater detail. The news did give some information, and I know Attorney Trishelle Young, talked about what it is that you can do that could be real brief and significant. But then you also want to make sure some of your details, depending on your assets and things, you want to make sure some of those things are mentioned. Who should you mention in your will? Because I heard at one point in time, you should at least mention every one of your children in your will, because if you don't, it can make it contestable. I don't know if that's still the law. I don't want to go into that because I'm not a lawyer. So I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but I do want to have someone to be able to talk to us about estate planning. and things like that. Sometimes I know I talked to a friend of mine and she said, even if you have life insurance policies, some of those policies do not cover the opening and closing of the gravesite. You still would have to have cash or special insurance that'll cover that. And that can put you in financial debt right away. If you got life insurance policies, they don't always pay right away. And then the cemetery is not going to allow it to happen unless they got their cash in their hand. Know that from experience. So it's different things that goes along with that. You all need to think about that. I would say look on or Google. There's a lot of people who are doing free seminars that tell you about estate planning. I've actually got myself enrolled in one myself. Even though I have verbally talked to all of my children and told them what it is that I would like to see happen, it's still important for us to have that in writing because anybody can contest. I didn't hear her say that. I don't know that's what she said. I thank God, I thank Allah that my mother, when she returned to Allah in 2009, we as the four daughters, and I have two younger brothers, they kind of just didn't say anything. But the four daughters, we agreed on like the arrangements and things like that. So there was no dispute. I can just honestly say, as of today, I don't know if any of the rest of them have. I never went down to even summon her will or anything to see what was in there. I've heard what it was that she had done, but none of us really went down there and did it. We just kind of agreed that we was going to make an agreement. We went forth. That's a blessing. But it was still some turbulence, even after that. So we have to make sure that we think about those things when we're doing that. But just a word about my brother. Eric Mays was a very important person to me, very important person to many of us. I have to say that when I decided to run back in 2021 for the city council seat, he could see times where I became weary and I kind of wanted to give up. But he took me by the hand and took me to um, different people in my community that knew him, and they voted for me based on his word and his word alone. On election day, he stayed out there at that polls, and he was running to himself. So he ran unopposed, and he had a write-in candidate against him, but he worked the polls for me, and that I always felt forever trusting of him and trusting of his word. Knew that he really sincerely cared about me. And I was just laughing and talking with my grandson this morning, and he came out the room with a stuffed animal. And he said, "Remember, I got this when I was down at the White Horse?" And I said, "At the White Horse?" And he said, "Yeah, when we went to go out to eat with Eric Mays." And he loves Eric Mays. Eric Mays let him sit in his seat. I said, "Yeah, that was that day, Eric Mays." I said, "Was that the same day you sat in the seat?" He said, "No, it was another day." And he said, "I love being up there. I really miss Councilman Eric Mays." I said, "Me too." He said, "I remember he let me sit in his seat and he let me push that button and say, 'Madam Chair.'" And I said, "Yeah, he did." Eric loved the children. So that's all I can say is he loved the children, and he was always a very helpful person. I can't speak of his words enough. I think about him every day, and I probably think about him every day ongoing as I think about my mom and my father and my grandparents. I think about them on a daily basis, and I know he will forever be in my heart. And my condolences, sincere condolences, and prayers go out to his family, the community, those who really trusted in him and had a lot of admiration for him. So I'm trying to think of it. Was it something else that I missed mentioning that done happened since then? I pray especially for the first ward. We got to make sure that I'm hoping and praying that the council do what's right. Listen to the words and of the people of the first ward, because they are the ones who actually elected Eric Mays into that position. They should be making a decision on who his replacement is until an election can come up. However, we know what the process is. It's an unfair process. I'm just going to say that it was an unfair process for the seventh ward. We saw that happen over there. And well, we got elections coming up for the ninth ward and all of that other kind of stuff. But there's some unsurety and some unfair things and practices that we know is in action. Some of that is a part of the charter. If you all do not have a copy of the charter for the city, please go out wherever you live at. If it's in Flint or wherever, Find out what your city charter states if you want to know things that's going to directly affect you. It's not just a Flint thing, it's a thing we finding out that's going on across the country. We already know that there's a lot of I don't know how to put it in and make it. I can't make it what they say diplomatic. I can't be diplomatic. It's a lot of crap that's going on, a lot of shadiness that's going on in our government all the way around, and we have to make sure that as people, you are aware of what the rules and the laws are, so that way you can better be able to negotiate for yourselves. Now, next, because I got somebody who asked me to do a particular subject today, so I want to talk real brief. I talk about the disaster preparedness and our foods. Oh, we're in the midst of Ramadan. How could I not think about that, Mickey? Ramadan started last Monday. We are on day
Right.
7. I thank Allah. I think a lot feel good. Spiritually, I feel good. Mentally, I'm feeling better. I read something today that says, about Allah. Um, well, no, on our prayer line, we have a prayer line that comes on every morning. If you do not have, I think it's called Podbean. Let me look and see. I'm just looking on my phone. So Podbean, Podbean. If you join Podbean, we have on there every morning the call Ummah, Ummah reflects. And every day we have a different person who's speaking during the month of Ramadan. And I'm telling you, every morning, whether you are Muslim, whether you practicing, if you're able to fast or not, you come away with some substance. It's so spiritually uplifting. There are so many things talking about us, with our fasting. We're learning to be more grateful, more humble to those who are less fortunate. Many of our people do not have anything to eat on a daily basis. They are struggling to survive. We look at the war, we looking at it on the TV, but we looking at it from the comfort of our own home or wherever we're at. And we're able to go to the kitchen and decide if we want to eat or not. And that's a struggle, especially during Ramadan when you seeing all this good, delicious food there, and you have to fast during the daylight hours. Just so that many of you all know, a lot of people out of respect for us have asked about different things and different aspects of Ramadan. No, we're not allowed to eat during the daylight hours, and we're not allowed to drink during the daylight hours. So at this point in time, right here in Flint, that comes in the morning, and then we don't eat again till after 7:30 in the evening. And you know what? A lot of times we like to use a crutch, our medical conditions. I'll just tell you all, I am diabetic, but I do watch my blood sugar levels. I watch them throughout the day just to make sure I am permitted to eat because of the diabetes. But guess what? I'm on day 7 now, and they all have been successful. I've had no problems at all. Some days I'll get a little tired and take a nap, but you know what? Whether you're diabetic or not, you're going to get tired and may want to take a nap, and that's permitted. And we also read the Quran from cover to cover. The Holy Quran is separated into 30 parts. So every day we read a part. Takes about 45 minutes to an hour to read that, but that's good because that's what we need. We need that mental food every day. We should be reading something every day, regardless to if it's the Holy Quran or it's a book, something that's going to be prosperous, not just a book, but something that's going to be helpful to you. You should be reading it every day. Take a few minutes out the day, but especially give to God what God has given to you. If He has words for you to read, sit down and read. Pray. We pray 5 times a day. 6 times if you go and get up in the middle of the night and do the prayer when you wake up. And then, you always doing what we call dua, small prayers, because you're always thankful. Every minute of your day, you're supposed to be thankful to God that He gave you another breath to give and to be able to live. So we do that. I decided this Ramadan that I was going to not only just do the traditional Ramadan, but I'm also fasting from meat. So I'm on day 7 with no meat, and I feel great. I mean, actually, I feel more energetic now without the food than I did when I was eating several times throughout the day. I mean, I really do. What I would like to pray, I know that They say take 21 days. I was thinking about this earlier today because your mind starts to go on when you're fasting. You start thinking about things, you had never think. I wonder why the bee do this. I wonder why the birds sing. I wonder why, you just start thinking about nature and all of God's creations. But I started thinking today, it takes 21 days to break a habit. And we do well during Ramadan for 30 days. Why at the Ramadan we regress and go back to old habits? We got to start to practicing to keep those new learned habits and keep them going. Hopefully, I pray that we all have be successful with our Ramadan and be able to move on to keep ourselves in a healthier light. Be able to eat healthier meals. I mean, I'm like more conscious about what it is that I'm eating and that kind of thing. So it makes you conscious about that and what things that you eat, not only the physical foods, but the spiritual foods, the mental foods. You want to be very conscious of what it is that you take in, data out. If you're taking in and feeding off of garbage every day, guess what? You're gonna put garbage out. Your mental capacity. Just think about it. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about the disaster preparedness. We've seen more and more calamities around us. um, do we know how to take care of ourselves the best that we can? So I want you all to go to ready.gov /kit, KIT, ready.gov because on there I see the basic disaster preparedness supply needs that you may need to have in your home. And we don't think about, you know, food, water, things in case if the power is out. How many of us have a hand can opener, not an electric can opener? I'll be honest with you, I got several electric can openers. I can't even tell you the last time I used them because I don't use them. I always use the hand ones. I can handle those and operate with those a little bit better. So I use the hand ones all the time. It's a lot of things I've kind of pulled myself back from. Like I don't have a microwave in my house. I have a toaster oven. It's an air fryer / toaster oven. I can bake in it. I can do everything in it. Cause in the summertime, that's what I use instead of heating up the big oven. I'm doing little small meals. I just put them in there. Think about some of the things that you can have in your house. You got a flashlight? Do you have a first aid kit? Many of us have. So I got band-aids. Mm-mm. First aid kit, not just band-aids. You need the ointments. You need stuff in case if there's an insect bite. You need those kind of things to put in there. Some of the battery powered or hand cranked um, uh, flashlight and radios because you really need a transistor radio in your house. I know we like to listen to our music. We store our stuff by our phones, playing by Bluetooth, all that stuff. Get yourself a transistor radio because if there's a disaster, you'll be able to still tune in. How many of us had problems with was it AT&T? I think a couple weeks ago that went out, or was it? It was AT&T because I got Verizon. Now, it was AT&T had to shut down. We've had other cell phone services and data services that lose power. They go down. So, but with a transistor radio with an old antenna, you can still tune in around you, and you want to make sure you at least got one of those available. I got one that runs by batteries. Keep them backup batteries too. But also, if I hand crank it, it'll still work. It'll give it power. Um, you want some plastic sheeting and stuff like that to kind of protect, keep out the cold or keep out different things. One thing that a lot of us don't think about. Oh, I see local maps on here too. Yeah, you better keep a paper map so that way you can find yourself around just in case. Um, keep those kind of things around in your house and keep them in your car because you need some stuff in your house. You need stuff in your car. If you work and you got the ability, keep something small at work too because you don't know if something will happen and you're trapped at work for a while before you can get home. And your homes have enough stuff to last you they say 3 days, usually in 3 days. We've been having small disasters, but what happens if it's long term and you need the 2 weeks or you need the several months of food to have a backup? When COVID first started, remember, think about how many things we could not find on the shelves in the store. that we was wishing we had. People was running out of toilet tissue because other people was storing it up in their houses. How many of you all have more than just a roll of toilet tissue in your house or just a pack of toilet tissue in your house? Try to keep at least two of them in there. Keep all of the supplies that you may need, prescriptions, you know, if you have a prescription, it's a trick to it. If you have a prescription and the due date that it's going to run out, just say hypothetically, if your medicine is going to run out on Wednesday, you could get that prescription refilled today or even a week ahead of time. So that way you are ahead. If you do that every month or every time you get your script filled, you will eventually have an extra, almost an extra whole script in your house. You know, a whole prescription that's filled in your house. It's a trick to being able to do that, to make sure that you have it. Keep your non-medic prescription medications like pain relievers, especially if you got children. Keep stuff for your children. Keep stuff to keep them occupied. Notebooks, papers, that kind of stuff. We are talking, you know, I've tried to find and locate my list. I can't find my list to put up, but I do have a list. But if you go to that ready.gov/kit, it has a whole lot of stuff on there. Cash. How many of y'all saw the book of Eli when the only thing he could barter with was the cash? Small bills. Keep some small bills because say for instance you go somewhere and you could barter and get it for $5, but only thing you got is $100 bill in your pocket. Guess what? You're gonna spend that $100 bill on whatever it is that you need to spend it on. It was that was an interesting movie too. The Book of Eli had Denzel Washington in it. It was very good. You know, just keep things that you need. Plates, spoons, forks, that kind of stuff. You want to always make sure you did it. On here it talks about the location, especially in the car. That's a big thing. In the house you can kind of move around, manufacture some things, but especially in your car. So we want to make sure you're summer ready, winter ready, um, all of that kind of stuff. You know, have an evacuation process. Let everybody in your house practice. Our safe place. If something happened, there was a fire here, and you could get out, go across the street to the neighbors. You know, you want to make sure, or down the street, a couple of doors. Have an emergency kit that you have long distance phone numbers, family members out of state. There was when I think it was when Katrina happened in New Orleans, the people there they had their all their local towers were down, so they couldn't call people locally, but they could call people in another state, another area code. They have a different tower for text messaging. So just know that all those communication things are things just to make you start to think. I want us to start just thinking about some of the stuff. Hopefully none of that stuff will happen. Hopefully none of that stuff will get cause us any problems. Oh, and I was talking about the plastic. You know, if you start to cooking and you got all the food at your house and your neighbors don't think your neighbors ain't gonna knock on your door. Sometimes you gotta protect yourself and keep them sit inside so you can make sure you taking care of yourself. We want to help everybody, but it comes a time where you have to um, make sure your own home is secure first, and then you can help others. But you want to keep yourself up from away from that. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about a subject that's been going on here in the city of Flint for the last week. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, that's a good subject for you to talk about on your show. Yeah, it was. So we know that there was a problem in the issue this week with the school system, where the teachers, 119 teachers, I believe it was, called in sick, and because they're looking for more pay, which we know pound for pound, teachers do not get paid enough. They are one of the professions, as others are, but we're gonna stick with the teachers today. That is a profession that do not get paid enough. I understand that, about the contracts and the litigation that goes along with that, but there is some things that we as parents, grandma, auntie, can do. When COVID first started, we didn't know what to do. Children was home, they just picking up packets from the school and mailing stuff to us. The next year they said we're gonna do it virtually. But guess what? Virtual didn't work. It did not work in my household because my grandchildren, their mother worked third shift. I worked first shift. She's not gonna come home and be able to stay awake with little ones and keep them active in school and make sure that they paying attention to the teacher. So there was things that we had to just pull them out of that system altogether. And they stayed home And I had a flexible work schedule, but but some days I had to be there in the morning, especially when I was working I was working in the school system, and I was doing some other stuff that was starting to home care. Some people you gotta see in the morning. Even when I started working again and working and going into the schools and working, um we still kept them home for a little while because COVID wasn't clean and clear. And there's a lot of parents who did. So a lot of things I did virtually with my students. And it made me just say, I was picking up on a lot of things that I could do with the children at home. So I took the time, I went and I bought a lot of the kits for their age group, started teaching them the words. I had one book that was actually a testing book for my granddaughter. She was, I think, in the first grade, and then we did again in the second grade. So I had her looking, and she had actually finished the first grade book while she was in the first grade and was studying stuff in the second grade. I also invested in ABC Mouse, so they were able to play games and do some things virtually. And if you all are not able to afford ABC Mouse for whatever reason, go to your local library, get a library card, find out about their logon information. You could log in. There's so many educational things that's free and available through your local library. Trust me, I'm one of the library board trustees, and I didn't know all of that stuff was available on there till one day, and I was in the library with them, and one of the librarians came on and said, "Hey, are you all on whatever, whatever?" And she showed us how to get on there. I said, "So can I log into this at home from my own computer?" She was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we went home and started teaching them how to get on to like ABC Mouse, what is it, Roblox, and a lot of different things. We did that through the library. So don't ever let the schools tell you and make you think that you're not able to teach your own children if you have to, and supplement. Now, one of the things that did come up this week was that there's a lot of teachers that are not certified per their requirement. They need certified teachers to teach. There's ways and loopholes around it. I'm not a certified teacher, but I taught my grandbabies, and they was up to par when they went back to school. As a matter of fact, they were ahead of the students that was in the school I took in dedicated time. Now, like I told you, I was working through the day. Don't think that a school day have to be the traditional day where they're up in the mornings and they're in school. School days happen when you have the time and the ability to teach your children. Guess what? They don't have to go to school 5 days a week. Teach them on the weekend. Take one of the weekdays, and you got other stuff and other avenues that they can handle those things, because we may get back to where they're not able to go into a physical building again. So I'm trying to prepare our minds for what it is that we may have to do. Now I'll give you an example. I have my three children. I said my three oldest because I like my grandbabies is mine too. But my three children, um 10 plus years ago, maybe about 15, almost 20 years ago, I decided to homeschool them. As a matter of fact, it was in 2004. I'm forgetting how old they are, but I'm forgetting that. I decided to pull them out of school. So I set them up with a curriculum. And the school district told me, you can teach them at home, but we need to see what your curriculum is and what you intend to do. I learned that they really don't learn too much more after the eighth grade. They learn all of the basics by eighth grade. That's why you have a freshman in the ninth grade, because in some societies, once they get to the age of the ninth grade, they're teaching them about the profession that they're going to go in that's going to be sustainable for them for the rest of their lives. So just know that that's where that freshman for the ninth grade came from. And then you're a freshman when you first start going to college. We just delay our children here in the United States, our educational system. I'm just saying, we delay our children. So start to getting your children prepared early enough. But what I did with my children, they got up in the morning, and I worked full time, sometimes a lot of overtime, because I was a home care provider, but I was able to arrange my own work schedule. But what I did in the morning is I had them watch the news every morning. So they learned what was going on in local, national, state, and across the world. They knew all of that. They were very abreast on all of the issues that was going on. I took that because that's part of social studies and that's a part of your history class. You learning new history, but then as that happened, we also broke down and learned the different branches of government. Of course, it required me to do some work too. We learned the different branches of government. We learned how they were supposed to the process of them. We learned some historical things that happened in the past, but they always stayed up on their new stuff. Their English assignment that they had was a writing assignment. They had to write, and we checked their grammar because they learned the grammar, but they was able to apply it to writing what it was that they saw on the news. So they had to write something about local, something about state, something about national news, something about world news. Those were the 4 paragraphs that they had to write on a daily basis. They logged in and did that. Then we also had the math class. So I had to give the shout out to Dr. Shaheed, Brother Shaheed Muhammad with the Nation of Islam, because when I went to Savior's Day and he was there this year, he have his videos on math, and it teaches you all the math. I mean, down to calculus to statistics. He does all these things, and he kind of do it in a comical way, but they were learning how to manipulate numbers, how to do the math. And then we took it when we was cooking and we applied that. So if you making a double batch of something and it only requires a half a cup, how much do you add to it? Now you know 1/2 plus 1/2 is a whole. That's one. So they know now they need 1 cup. So you take everything that they're learning in the school and apply it. That's a different kind of way of teaching your children. Then we had the science, of course. The best science that you can learn is the science of how to cook in your kitchen. I say that to you as an adult now, as we're getting ready to wrap up. You learn science in your kitchen. You learn what foods should complement one another. Sometimes we think, oh, this tastes the best with this tastes the best with that. But we have foods that do not complement one another. A lot of us don't know watermelon and cantaloupe does not complement each other. Start to reading and studying it because they do some of the same things in the body with helping with providing the same nutrients. They counterproductive of each other and could cause more problems. But a lot of us don't know that because they give you these fruit salads. But you got to realize who we dealing with. We're not dealing with same people all the time, and we're not dealing with them in the best of manner. That's that how to eat to live portion. But I learned this from a medical professional. Watermelon and cantaloupe should not be eaten together. A lot of people don't know salads should not be eaten before your meal. You should eat salads at the end of your meal because the lettuce will lay dormant in your stomach and block proper digestion. So if you start to talking and seeing people like foreigners, a lot of them, they'll eat their soups first because that, of course, that prepare their stomach for digestion. But the salads they eat after their meals. I'm not telling you anything that I have not read and studied and looked up. And these are the things that I can tell you how lettuce will kind of upset my stomach if I eat it before I eat the rest of my food. So just think about that. But I took everything that we learned in the classroom and took it to doing something different. And then I was a part of a homeschooling network that we kind of got together once a week, and the children play games. They could play table board games. They could play all kinds of stuff. And of course, we always talk about the exercise and the activities. Those are social skills that they're learning. We talk about the exercise and the activities. Take them roller skating, take them bowling, take them to do something. Just go to the park, play on the swing set or whatever, the teeter totter, whatever you got to do. Take them out and then let them enjoy some of the activities that's out there. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on they got to be involved in intramural sports and all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that's out there that's available you can do without actually being inside of a physical building. And I'm not advocating and telling you pull your children out. I want to make sure you know that. I'm not telling you to pull your children out of school, but if you feel like your children are not being taught everything that they should be, you have a responsibility as a parent to try to do it. And some of us do not have the ability to be able to do it. But if you don't, ask somebody. Somebody may be able to help you. Everything that they was being taught in school, I wasn't able to do it. I just told you I relied on Dr. Shaheed's videos to help me with the math part. And I think I'm a great mathematician. But however, I wanted to make sure that they were getting that and understanding that. Um, what else is from school? Arts and stuff. My children all love arts. We did plays. They were able to draw, do things. I'll look and see different activities that we can do. Even with the grandbabies, we did it. I have all kind of like art books and art projects that we was doing around here. We were getting tired. They was getting tired of seeing it. Make a card for your auntie, or let's create this and see how this affects us. Let's paint these, and going to the Dollar Tree and buying wooden things that they can paint, so they learning. And that way I taught them about mixing the colors. Let's see what color this will make if we mix these two colors together. They learn all of that kind of stuff. Those are the things that they're doing in the schools. So I just want you to know there is always hope. And then on that other side, if you have children in school, please go to the school as much as you possibly can and be an advocate. Help assist. Go on a field trip with the schools. I know sometimes some of our work schedules just don't permit us to do that kind of thing. But if you got a good neighbor or a good family member that can go and be with the children, do it. And then sometimes it's called sacrifice. If you can, ask your employer, can you take a couple of hours off and just go to something? Say you want to drive yourself so that way you can leave there and go right to work. That's an appointment too. That's a very important appointment. So I want you all to keep your head up and keep hope. As they say, keep hope alive. Don't let it die. Don't think that because there's issues that's going on, um, in the school system, and I'm hoping and praying for a resolve, and I'm hoping and praying that they get that all worked out. I'm hoping and praying that a lot of things can happen for them. Unfortunately, they are one of the lowest paid professions, and they have the greatest impact on our future because they have our children in there. But before they get to that school, make sure that you're teaching your children from home. If nothing else, Judge Hatchett didn't say, she said out there at that program for the Black History Month, she said that she went to school, but when she came home, her parents sometimes had to reprogram her to make sure that she knew she was number one. She was very important, and that she has the ability to direct her own narrative. So, in saying that, I'm going to part for today and say, I love you. If you don't do anything else good for yourself this week, do something good for yourself. If you don't do nothing else this week, do something good for yourself. Make yourself feel good and relax. Go out, get your nails done, pedicures. That's both male and female. If it don't hurt you to take care and groom yourself, go get a haircut, get your hair braided, do something, go to a movie, a play, sit down, have some coffee with friends. If you Muslim, no, just wait till after the sun go down. We do it. We do it in a righteous way with us doing Ramadan. And I love you all and hope to see you all again soon next week. And I'll be into the studio next week, and that way we can do it. You see my thing behind me say count to 20 because I got stuff all over my house. The babies be looking at it and they be doing their work. I got colors and got the nutritional facts and stuff all on the walls around in here. But I said I'm taking it down because they're getting old enough and I don't have to keep it around. So I love you all. Y'all have a beautiful week and hope to see you all soon. Take care. Thanks,
Uh,
Nikki.
no problem. Peace.